guys, my name's Lulu and these are my books. Today, let's talk annotations. So I want to do this video like yearly, essentially talking about the way I annotate and like my annotated books of the year, you know? That's something I want to start doing, especially since I started annotating my books and all of that, you know? And as you can see, I've annotated 3 books this year. One of them was a new read, and 2 of them were rereads. This one was an impulse project, where these 2 were more of like, yeah, I can annotate those. So yeah, let's talk about them and the way I annotate for the moment. So let's start with how I annotate. So I have like 2 little things, sorry. So there are 2 things where I keep my annotation supplies in. This is where I keep all of like my pens, pencils, and things like that. It's a really big pencil case. And it works because I'm not using it for like school or anything, because I use my iPad for school mostly. Whoa, okay. So yeah, we have some things, and then there are some post-it notes in here. What else? So we have some post-it notes in here. They're fruit themed because I got them off Amazon. We have some pencils there, some Papermate pencils. And then in the bigger cavity, we have pens and highlighters. Mainly highlighters, but we do have some gel pens in here. Just, you know, basic pens and things like that. And then I also have like a little Sharpie. So yeah, but I have 2 different types of highlighters in here. These are knockoff Mileliners, and then these are little, like the little square highlighter things that are actually really helpful if you really don't know about it. These are what I use. And then I also have like a brush pen in here, and then also like a fine tip, like fine liner thing in here. Both of those are also for like things. So yeah, this is essentially base of what I use mostly. And then back here I have there's a Pokemon card in there, but I have more little post-it notes, and then like my colored pens, and then these see-through post-it notes that you can lay over top of pages and stuff, you know, so stuff like that. So yeah, that is essentially most of my annotation supplies in this. And then in this, so this is one of the Fairy Loot like secret book boxes things that they have. This is where I keep all of my tabs. So I have like several different tab sets in here. I have, well, okay. So I have these guys. They're little like blue, purple, blurple things and stuff like that. And then I have these guys, which are meant to be like little highlighter things. I don't know if I'm ever going to use them, honestly. These little shorter ones that I use sometimes. I have a lot. There's a lot going on in here. I have these top ones. I actually ordered 2 packs of these. So I have like 2 sets of like each of those tabs, which I think is really funny. And then I have some more short ones that I haven't gotten around to using. But all of these have like different designs and stuff like that. And I'm really excited to use those eventually. So yeah, that is my little annotation book. I keep my annotation supplies in these guys because it's just really easy to know where all of it is. And then, you know, all of that. So let's go on and talk about how I tend to annotate. The Color Purple by Alice Walker. So this book obviously has a lot of annotation going on in here. This was like kind of like not really impulse, but however, I started annotating it earlier in the year, and then I was spurred on to finish it because A, I had the audiobook, and B, the Color Purple movie is coming out, like the new version of it anyways, is coming out on Christmas. So I wanted to finish this, so I had it fresh in my mind. So let's talk about how I annotate. So first page of annotations. Let me show you. So this is where we started. We have that, and this is underlined by colored pen. Most of the annotations in here are mostly like colored pen or highlighter. That's how I usually do it. I alternate between highlighter and colored pen. I don't really have like a favorite that I tend to oscillate towards, really. Not really. But I also do a little glossary type thing so that I know what each tab represents, and where to mark things. And I do this as I go. I've heard that this is really good, and it works really well for me because it keeps me from forgetting everything, like what these tabs are meant to mean to me. And I know what to look for when I go back to these books. So yeah, that's how I annotate, really. And so that's where all of this comes in. And I just tab where I think is appropriate. And so yeah, here's an example with some highlighter in there. But yeah, regarding how I annotate, it's actually pretty basic. It's nothing complicated. It looks very aesthetically pleasing. And something I enjoy about annotation is watching the tabs grow on the side as you're reading. It's so satisfying to me. So yeah, this is where I decided I had it down pat. But as we know, Snowflower and the Secret Fan was my first annotation experience. And this one I have so much more going on. It's literally the same annotation style. However, the thing about this book is that a lot of the text is just very clumped together. So a lot of pages have more than one annotation per page. And this is where I was really just like going for it. Really, truly. So like you see, these both mean two completely separate things. And they correspond quite obviously. Where did I put it? Yeah, I don't know why I put this one on this page instead of this page, but you know, whatever. So yeah, and all of that. Also, that's my handwriting, if anyone's wondering. So yeah, this book had a lot of commentary and things that I was tabbing as I went, and things that popped up like further down in the book. So yeah, there was a lot going on, and there are very few pages. This is one of them. There are very few pages that have nothing on them. There are very, very, very few pages that have nothing on them. This is a mess. And it was all in pink, and I was so happy doing all this annotating in pink. I was so happy. But yeah, I actually ran out of one tab set. I actually ran out of like my tabs that I needed, so I had to open another tab set. This is where me accidentally ordering 2 packs of the same tab set came in really, really handy. But yeah, Snowflower and the Secret Fan, we did love her a lot. She's been well loved, and I'm excited to go back to her. And eventually, I'm also really excited to annotate Lady 10 Circle of Women by the same author. The last book that I annotated this year was Dracula. This was an impulse annotation, to be honest. I don't know why I really wanted to annotate it, but I did anyways, and I actually really enjoyed the experience. I enjoyed like tabbing things that I thought would make a difference in the future, and they usually typically did. However, annotating a horror book rather than annotating a book that has like a lot of meaning, it's supposed to have a lot of meaning anyways, is a very different experience for me, and I think this was really good. Because there actually wasn't a lot to annotate as I went forward with the book. As you can see, that's told by that. Like, I have my little glossary and everything, but I obviously have a lot less tabs for this. And then also, like, my annotations are pretty far and few in between. Like, I don't have annotations every other page. I don't have annotations, like, in every paragraph or anything like I did with the first 2 books. This was very different for me, and I honestly really enjoyed having that experience because I knew the annotating for different types of book to be very different, and having this experience was honestly just really, really good. Also, I learned that this book isn't completely bound correctly either, so like, yeah. But anyways, I was annotating this as I had the audiobook, and it was just honestly really fun. So yeah. Again, my annotation style has not changed very much. However, I had to adapt it to fit this, which is why my annotations grow sparser and sparser as the book goes forward. So yeah, this year I annotated 3 books, and I'll tell you about the experience I had with annotating each of them because they were all fairly different. Let's start with Snowflower and the Secret Fan. regarding these annotations, this one I was very much like in the mood, in the zone for it. I was very dead set on rereading this book because, again, this was a COVID read, and I was very much sure that this book wouldn't take very long to annotate. I knew that this book was less than 300 pages. It's literally 253 pages, I believe. And it's really good. It's a really good book of like self-discovery and coming into like womanhood and, you know, all of that. However, I severely underestimated how much time it would take me personally to annotate, because what I like to do, and you can see this in a lot of my annotations, this is going to be a pretty good thing. This is also a place where I would write in random notes. I tend to not do that. However, there are some places where I write random notes. Most of my random notes are actually in Dracula, now that I think about it. But anyways, so if you can tell, most of my lines are pretty much perfectly straight. You can see that? Yeah, most of my lines are pretty much perfectly straight, and that's because I had the annotation, the little tab set, like plastic backing against it, and I would annotate it like that. And that took me a considerable amount of time. No matter how good this looks, that took me forever. No. Okay, I almost dropped this book. But that took me forever. And that's one of the reasons this book took so long to annotate for me. But even if it did take a long time, I did really enjoy the experience. I really enjoyed spending so much time with this text. Like, yes, reading with with no thoughts, head empty, is always a really good thing. However, making sure you do introspection within your reading, especially with rereads, is always a really good thing, in my opinion. Especially with stuff like this, books that have like really deep meaning or focus very heavily on not very well talked about topics, such as like, you know, womanhood. Things like that are always really good to like have a lot of introspection with, because not a lot of the themes hit you the first time you read it. You know what I mean? Not a lot of it hits you the same way. And the second time you read it, it may never, like, some things always jump out at you. I use this example a lot, but Persona 5 Royal is a game that I've been playing for a while, and that game has so much foreshadowing. I'm on my second playthrough, and the first time I never noticed it, but the second time I'm noticing it, I'm like, damn, okay, I see you. But yeah, and those are things with books like this, books that have a lot of thought poured into them, how they're portrayed, how the story is told to you. And that's something I really, really appreciate. So yeah, I think annotating books like this is really interesting. Let's go on to talk about The Color Purple, because this is one I had a little bit of a different experience, especially since I had the audiobook with it. The first half of this book I actually started without the audiobook, which I thought was really interesting. Yeah, I got through the first half of this book and then I started with the audiobook. So yeah. And in this book, there were a lot of patches because things like that, but I used little brackets to show what I wanted to actually, like, you know, annotate and stuff, you know, all of that. And I didn't use tabs for everything. As you can see, I didn't use a tab for this one because I just thought that things were getting a little crowded. I mean, obviously things were getting crowded. But yeah, I personally just really, really enjoyed annotating this book because it had me, like, I read this book for my senior project, I think. No. It was a completely different class. But I read this book in high school the first time. And I didn't really get it. I didn't understand. I didn't get it at all when I read it at the time. And rereading it the second time and annotating it and spending a lot of time with this text, I understand it more now. This is also a story of more coming of age and coming into yourself in your own adulthood. Even though it starts off with Celie being a child bride, even if it starts off like very much rooted in childhood, this book moves on with like the story of like familial bonds and like building that kind of family, like what kind of things can happen over the years as you grow as an adult. And I think that's really interesting. Being an adult is really hard. It's whack as fuck. That's all I'm gonna say. I'm 19 and I'm already over it. But like, this book has a very interesting perspective on it. And I realized that the second time around of reading this, and I'm honestly like entirely very happy that I reread this book. Because it just makes me very, like, it makes me very, it hits me in all the right places, you know? And so when I read Dracula, considering this is a fantasy book, considering this is complete fiction, and like none of this is applicable to real world, I had a very interesting time annotating this, because regarding Dracula, like most of this book is suspense. It's bringing all of that shit together. And there is a part in this book, like it's essentially all of the seeds for foreshadowing are sprinkled in like the first half of this book, and then the second half is just all of the action. And it was interesting annotating this, because it's like, oh, I found a lot of shit to annotate in the first half of this book, and then near the end I just was like, nothing at all. So I felt kind of like unaccomplished, but also I just also felt like I was enjoying the story, really. Like, I knew all of the things that were planted. I knew everything that was going through, and then watching it all play out was just really a really exciting experience for me. And I really enjoyed that. So yeah, annotating fiction and like introspective fiction are two very separate things, in my opinion. And they're separate for a reason. I enjoyed annotating all three of these books. And honestly, I'm going to continue annotating well into like next year and stuff. And the next book I'm annotating, I'm going to experiment with a new style of it, and also experiment with the genre in and of itself. So come with me as we annotate Looking for Alaska by John Green. I said this in one of my other vlogs that I wanted to annotate Looking for Alaska by John Green. This was an impulse, and again, this is going to be a reread. I already have the tab set that I'm going to use in here. That's how committed I am to this book. And let's be entirely honest. This book is short, and I tend to annotate a lot of short books, which is something interesting to me. This book is 221 pages now that I looked for it. And this book is fiction, very fiction, and it's also very much rooted in the teen mindset, but also it's not exactly a romance book, it's a contemporary book. And I'm wondering how different the experience me annotating this book is going to be, really, considering everything else I've ever annotated and read, you know? So we're annotating this for the next foreseeable future. I'll probably pick something else once I finish annotating this book. However, I'm really excited to actually get through this and see how my annotating is going to change with this. Because I realize that with every book I annotate, something changes. Maybe it's the experience, maybe it's the things I'm picking up, maybe it's just the way I do it. But something I feel like is going to change when I reread this book. And I'm actually pretty excited. But yeah, so anyways, guys, that brings an end to this video. Thank you for watching. I know this is very disorganized, kind of, but you know what? We're going to be redoing this every year. So let's go on with it. I hope you guys enjoyed this video. If you did, please hit the like button. And if you want to see more content from me, please subscribe and hit the bell icon so you get notified every time I post a new video. I post weekly on this channel, so don't miss out. Also, leave me comments down below what you want to see from me, what I should put on my TBR, what books I should move up my TBR. Say hi in the comments, or tell me what you're reading right now. I always get really excited when I see your comments. It makes me feel so happy and appreciated. Anyways, guys, I love my Lumas. Bye!